Welcome to MLB Upset, soon to be the greatest baseball channel on the platform of YouTube, and I'm so excited. I also have an NBA channel which I will be running, maybe not to quite as an extent, but it's clear in the description, so click that link. And I made this amazing channel logo for MLB Upset. Comment below if you also love it, guys. We're going over the best player on every MLB team for 2021. Essentially my prediction. They have to be on the roster right now to count, so essentially my prediction who's going to be the best on every team this year. Yeah, if you guys want, I could probably do a vid on ranking all these best players, which I do plan to do. Right now, it's just the best on every team. This is going to get a little bit spicy because it'll just get spicy. So since I happen to be wearing a Dodgers shirt tonight, we're going to start in the NL West with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have a bunch of great players on that team. For sure, they're world champs. But there is still a pretty clear best player, and that is Mookie Betts, who is their second best player in their playoffs next to Corey Seager, who had a great season. But in the end, Betts is still definitely a top 3 player in baseball. And yeah, Betts is their best player on the Dodgers. Bellinger took a step back. Kershaw seems like he still has a lot in the tank, and Buehler's there as well. So you can make a lot of kind of arguments there from like the 2 to 5 best player on the Dodgers. All right, second up, the San Francisco Giants, the Dodgers' rival, a team that I like much more than the Dodgers. And their best player is Mike Yastrzemski. I would love to see Johnny Cueto bounce back and be their best player, but in the end, Mike Yastrzemski, a lot of people thought his 2019 was a fluke, and that's very fair to think, but it wasn't, obviously, as he balled out in 2020. And yeah, he's like in a prime age, like 29, so I think it might be another year in mediocrity for the Giants. Hope the Giants could kind of keep doing what like the Nets did 2 years ago, and that's like be decent, build a great culture, an attractive environment, which you definitely have in San Fran with the weather and stadium, and get a star to come, and the Giants could really be pretty good without having to suffer a bad rebuild. All right, so Colorado, this is going to be a pretty hot take, but I have Trevor Story being their best player in 2021 because Arenado, he may get traded, but even if he stays, I see it as sort of a James Harden-Houston situation that just ended because the deal is that Arenado is not happy in Colorado. He played pretty poorly in 2020. I think it's over. Him balling out with the Rockies is over. I think Trevor Story is going to stay, and Trevor Story is going to be the face of the franchise over the next couple years. I can't wait for my player rankings. Trevor Story definitely arguably a top 1 shortstop. All right, the Diamondbacks. Their best player is Ketel Marte. They don't have that many stars. They don't really have any stars. Marte was great in 2019, so I am excited to see what Ketel Marte could do. And I'm excited to see what the Diamondbacks are like. He's their best player. If there's one wish for the Diamondbacks this season for me, that is for Madison Bumgarner, who I absolutely love in San Francisco, to be still a solid pitcher. All right, the Padres. They had 2 amazing players in 2020. Machado did end up having better numbers than Tatis, but I'm going with Tatis. If you look at Machado's career numbers, he's always been a very good hitter, but not necessarily a great hitter. And obviously, defense as well factors in where Machado is better than Tatis. But Tatis is so young. He's on the rise, and he's the face of the franchise. He's a top 3 face of baseball. Not best player in baseball, but when you think of the faces of baseball, you would put like Trout, Betts, and I'd say Tatis. All right, so 1 division down, 5 to go. We'll go with the, I was about to say AL Central. Such a weird order. You know what? We are going to do the AL Central. So the Minnesota Twins, their best player, this is odd because their best player the last 2 years, Nelson Cruz, the 40-year-old, is a free agent still. I can't wait to see where he goes. Market has not even been spoken of with him, which is insane because he's a top 10 hitter in baseball. But their best player right now is Josh Donaldson. Josh Donaldson, if you're talking about World Series type of team, he's more like that 3rd star. That's kind of the role that he should play at this point in his career. He's still very good. He's still very good. And injuries kind of threw off what was going amazing with his career. Like 2015, 16, and 17, he was so good for the Blue Jays. And then 19, he was very good with the Braves. And 20, in limited playing time, he was solid with the Twins. So, like, it was really only 2018 that kind of threw off his career, kind of put him on the downfall. He'll be 35 soon. But Josh Donaldson is very good. All right, for the Indians, you have Jose Ramirez versus Shane Bieber, and I'm going to go with Bieber, the Cy Young winner, because Ramirez is so good, but he's very inconsistent, and Bieber is probably not going to get worse because he just started in 2019, really. All right, so the White Sox, you have so many dudes there. A top 2 team in the American League, the White Sox. But you don't have, like, that guy who's, like, clear best player or anything. Or, like, a top 5 player in baseball. None of that. You have Jose Abreu, though, who I'm going to give that respect to. Give him the best player on the White Sox because he's the defending American League MVP in the end. And there's a bunch of guys, like probably 7 guys that could realistically end up being the best player on the White Sox. And Jose Abreu is the lead guy to me. All right, so the Royals, there's literally nothing to talk about here. You have Whit Merrifield, who I am going to go with as their best player again. It's just so many years in KC where they're such a 26th best team in baseball. Whit Merrifield, MVP, just this 30-year-old journeyman who he's found a home, but just this a bit above average player who is just playing for this bad team that's going nowhere. You hear about all these bad teams like, oh, in a couple years they'll be so good. You don't really hear that with the Royals, and it's getting kind of annoying that they are just being bad every year, just not a ton happening. I hope I'm wrong. I hope something turns around for KC. They rep exact similar colors to the Dodgers, except they incorporate some light blue. Which, by the way, on this channel we have a lot of like jersey, hat rankings, stuff like that, along with team rankings, player rankings. And it's not all just rankings. All right, so for the Tigers, a bad team. Heimer Candelario had a very good 2020, so he's the guy that I'll give to them as their best player. So it turns out those are the only 2 divisions we're going to do in this vid. I'm going to upload the other divisions separately. So we'll do a part 2, which has the next 2 divisions. And then we'll do a part 3 that has the last 2 divisions. I don't even know the order of the divisions that I did. So just come back to see the best player on some teams. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you made it to the end. Gotta do that. Follow me on Instagram at MLB Upset. And part 2 of this little series should be coming extremely soon, so make sure you turn on the bell.